Hey everybody, this is Perch, and we did an interview with Philip Kennedy Johnson. It was a great one. Check it out. It's in the interviews playlist. Things do go into playlists, by the way. Every now and then somebody's like, I don't know where everything is. It's in. It is. It's in a playlist. Anyway, Philip Kennedy Johnson he gave this interview, talked about his plans for Superman. He was very forthcoming. We always talk, I think, before and after the interview a little bit, but there wasn't big secrets that were in the backstage chat, if you will. He was very forthcoming about what he plans to do, and I do get a sense that he loves the character and he wants to do right by the character. One of the things we talked about in the interview was this thing about Superman is hard to write, and I think Johnson noted a couple things that I agreed with, which is, if you have any kind of attachment to family, to your son, to in his case, to a child or whatever else, Superman gets easier. And he's expressed that he doesn't think Superman is hard to write at all, and I agree completely. I mean, I've said that a ton. I think Superman is not hard to write. I think you have to have some resonance with what Superman's all about, and I don't think some writers do. And by the way, I don't think all writers should. But I think if you're going to put a writer on Superman, then the writer sure as hell better have a good connection to the character. But after that interview, a number of things happened. And in the interview, Johnson did mention, obviously Taylor has some plans. I had heard about those plans from a different location previous, but we're letting it play out. And now, of course, we get the reveal that John Kent was gay, bisexual, and then that kind of consumed the attention. And then about last week, the news mill started really rolling that, hey, we're coming up on the anniversary of the death of Superman. The death of Superman being, of course, the black-bagged comic that sold a bazillion times and gave John Byrne the amazing opportunity. This interview's out there. I've used it in some of my videos before, but it's always hilarious, where he's like, well, I killed Superman first. I killed him already. I brought him back in the same issue. In fact, it was pretty hilarious. It was Byrne being Byrne. It was pretty amazing. But the death of Superman being an anniversary issue coming up, and we all know that comic companies, or we've seen plenty of examples of comics companies who are desperate to kind of milk any bit of nostalgia, anniversary type stuff out there. So it seems plausible that we're going to get a return to the death of Superman storyline. Seems more than plausible. In fact, if you're putting betting money on it, you're absolutely going to get that. Will DC put out a comic in a black bag with a bleeding Superman logo? Almost certainly. There will be some kind of homage to that. Will they put a black armband with a red symbol on it? Probably not. For those of you, many of you are like, wait, what? The bagged Superman death issue came with a black armband that you could wear. A black armband being something that you would wear if a hero or somebody died. You'd wear a black armband in support of that. And it had a little red symbol on it, which was a Superman symbol. But if you just take about 30 steps backward and you see people walking around in a line with a black armband and a red symbol on it, kind of look like something else. And I'm guessing that DC's not going to do that one again. But who knows? Maybe anything could happen. I love a good marketing stunt gone wrong more than anyone. But with all this, the narrative started rolling out. And look, right now, if you're listening to this video and you're like, oh, he's talking about, I don't know, some other YouTuber, I assure you, I am not. I do not know if this is being speculated about on shows, in websites, on articles. I don't know. I've been traveling like a maniac the last week. I've been extremely busy. I know that this has been discussed. I saw that I think Wes did a video on this. Outside of that, I haven't listened to that video, just saw the thumbnail. I have no idea if this is being discussed anywhere. So no, this isn't a backhanded shot at your favorite YouTuber. I don't know. Okay. I'll throw this out there just real quick because people have asked. Typically speaking, I do listen to videos from other people. It's kind of infrequent. I'll listen to them in bursts, and then I get busy for a week or two, listen to nothing, and I listen to them in bursts again. Or sometimes people send, one friend will send me like, hey, this is a good video I did. You should check it out, and I'll do that. Occasionally, people will send me saying, hey, this person's doing a reaction video to your video. Sometimes I listen to that. Half the time, people don't include a link, and I give up trying to go find it, so I don't. But I don't, almost to a fault, I never listen to the live streams. of anyone's. And it's not my thing. And by the way, including my own. Like I don't the screen with like 5 heads on it. If you notice the live streams I do on Fridays, I'll have the for lack of a better word, a slideshow of some information. That's the only way I can tolerate it. Having like 6 heads on the screen, all kind of talking, like it's just not for me. I'm not saying it's not, nobody should like it. I don't care for those. It's just, I don't like them. So every now and then somebody's like, are you listening to this stream or that stream? The answer is probably no. I just don't. That format doesn't appeal to me. It obviously appeals to other people. Like there's some live stream, God, for like a court case of all things, it had like 30,000 people on it. I don't know. It was on YouTube and it popped up as like a stream. It's like 30,000 people watching this. I'm like, God damn, what are they doing in that? I hope some people are getting murdered in that court case. Anyway. So that aside. So apparently though, with all this stuff going on with Superman, the comment came out that this is a backdoor plan to get rid of Kal-El, to get rid of Clark Kent, and basically forever replace him with John. And so they, Philip Kennedy Johnson did a little interview where he basically said, like, same thing he said in the interview I did with him, which is, he is, there is not, his exact quotes here. I've been hearing from a lot of Superman fans who are scared by all the recent speculation that Warworld is part of some shady backdoor corporate plan to replace Clark as Superman. To those fans, I don't know how easy it is to remove your worries without spoiling what's coming, and I can't do that. But I love Clark Kent as much as you do. Keep reading. I promise we won't betray you. Superman is forever. So, I mean, obviously, Johnson can't come in and say, hey, no, I'm writing this story at the conclusion of this. No, he's not going to die or anything else. The article, wanting to kind of poke the flames a little bit, does say, well, the writer doesn't outright deny plans for another Death of Superman type storyline. He tweets a different kind of assurance. Obviously, I think DC is going to cover or try and do something with Death of Superman, like we talked about earlier. They're not going to give up on this anniversary of the thing. They're not going to just ignore that. They're going to do something. I mean, I'd be astounded if they didn't. One, they'd be going against type, and 2, they'd be leaving some money on the table. But at the same time, I don't believe that they're going to remove Clark Kent, Kal-El, and just get rid of the character, regardless of what they're trying to do with John Kent. But I'll say this in the defense of the people who are worried about this. And again, Johnson finds himself in a weird place because he wants to kind of deny some of this, but how he can't also spoil his storyline. But look at the events that led up to this. Number one, we heard this stuff about 5G, which was very poorly reported and kind of grew out of control and had a lot of rumors and myths around it. But still, there were aspects of it that were true. But there are other aspects about it that were pretty amazing. And like I did, previously have talked about, DC did nothing to really go in and clarify the picture. They allowed Bleeding Cool in particular, but then a bunch of other YouTubers to run with it, to basically create complete rumors and speculation, and then they never confirmed it, so they allowed them to set the narrative. And then on top of that, you have a number of very high-profile people at DC talking about how their characters are old-fashioned, that they should get rid of them all and replace them with new ones. I mean, you have active writers at DC, not Johnson, but others, who have current contracts writing current stories, who on Twitter on a regular basis have talked about getting rid of all the legacy characters and how they're old and they can't attract a new audience if they have those legacy characters. You've seen them saying this. This is a reason why, if you're DC or Marvel or whoever, having your creators on social media saying stuff like that is harmful to your brand. That's very negative. It scares the audience. It confuses the audience of what you're trying to get them to accomplish, and it's a bad plan. So I part of this article gets written like those crazy fans who are believing that anything could happen. Well, unfortunately, the company did set the stage that things could happen. Now, why do I not believe that Clark Kent Kal-El is going away? Well, simple. A DC wants to own that trademark. They're going to continue to own that trademark. No, by the way, the trademark does not go into the public domain in a couple of years, and anybody can do anything they want with it. That's not how trademarks work. Honestly, it is not. And if you think that DC or Marvel or any of these companies aren't going to do what they have already done dozens of times before and aggressively fight this stuff, they're going to continue to extend this. The best case scenario is the exact depiction of Superman as he originally appeared could be entered into the public domain with so many requirements around what he's called, how he's used, the supporting characters and everything. You couldn't do much with it. There's already characters who kind of look like Superman flying around. It's a whole other video, by the way. But the idea that some people really misunderstand what entering the public domain is, and anyone who would take that challenge, if a tiny piece of Superman does enter the public domain, and somebody's like, I'm going to make a comic out of this, you would be like the legal minefield that you would be walking around would not make it worth it. It just, you slip and you use a phrase that comes later in the trademark. No lawyer every lawyer would tell you not to do this. It's the amount of money you'd make off of it, zero chance you would get a return on investment like you'd hope. I know I've heard a couple people, and I've talked to some people, at least two different people I know who have active plans to do stuff with Superman. They've already written some stories and they're ready. And I've said the same thing. It's like you're stepping into a hornet's nest. It's not going to play out like you think. And there's already court cases lined up to try and protect this. So the reason why I don't think they're going to kill off Kal, they want that IP. They're going to want to keep it. And this is all just short-term stunt booking anyway, a lot of the case. So this idea that we're going to kill him off and replace him with John, that would constitute long-term thinking like the company has never exhibited before. There's no long-term plan here. I believe Johnson in that I think he's going to give this epic. I think there will be a big fight. He's going to try and get a huge story going with Warworld. It's going to lead into some big Death of Superman event. And then, much like the death of Wonder Woman, which happened, about 11 months ago, we see how that stuck. It's like, if you remember back in January, there were headlines like Wonder Woman has passed on to the from the mortal realm, and DC has killed off Wonder Woman, and they're going to replace her with this new Yara Flor character and maybe Nubia in there. But Diana Prince is dead, and a bunch of people lost their shit about that. Like, she's dying and she's dead, and this is DC replacing a character. Well, she's back. There's almost no. I mean, if there's one thing I think comic fans can agree on, that's that death has zero meaning in a lot of cases, and I don't think it's leading here anyway. But anyway, some interesting stuff. Good for Philip Kennedy Johnson to attempt to correct. Unfortunately, as a writer of the story, not wanting to spoil the story, there's very little he could say. But trust me, bro, and hopefully some people do if they're liking that story. So let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.